Okay. So, let's say you regret um an experience out of your past. Oh, not
Say
regret.
that again.
Um, you had a sexual experience when you were a kid
Yes.
that you regret,
All right.
and because of that, I feel
Yes.
not all the way pure.
All right. So let me ask you this question. Are you that kid now?
No,
So why are you continuing to recreate that experience in your present?
I think it's society.
Why are you choosing to continue to recreate that experience in your present if you're not that person anymore? Did you learn from it?
But
Did you learn from that experience that you preferred something different?
I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I all the way believe that I'm not that kid because
All right, we'll
society
get to
tells
that in a
us.
moment. We'll
Yes.
get to
Okay.
that in a moment. Answer this question first. Did you learn something from that experience that allowed you to realize that you prefer something different? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. So are you applying that new knowledge in your life now? What you learned, are you behaving in a different way?
Am I behaving in a different way? Yes.
All right. So doesn't the new behavior supersede what happened in the past?
What does supersede mean?
Take the place of. Doesn't it replace what happened in the past because you have learned from it and are now applying a new behavior? Doesn't that make you a different person?
I want to say yes
Why do you want to say yes?
because
Because it feels better, doesn't it?
it does feel better.
Then why not believe it, regardless of what society says? Why not believe you are a different person now?
Because society makes me feel wrong.
Because society says what?
They make me feel wrong, or they make me feel.
They don't make you feel anything. They may suggest how you could make yourself feel, but if you don't prefer to feel that way, why are you agreeing with them? Because you're the one making yourself feel what you're feeling. No one else can make you feel anything.
That's right. So
I know.
I just practice. So is there a way to get there? Is it probably by follow my highest excitement that
The
eventually I
formula
get
will help,
help?
but
Okay.
you also have to really understand how things work, what the structure of existence is like. Everything exists here and now. You understand that time is an illusion?
Yes.
Even your scientists understand this now. Yes? It's not real. It's a side effect. Time is a side effect of your consciousness shifting through billions of parallel reality moments every second. So if everything exists here and now, the only way you can experience what appears to be different moments is by actually shifting your focus within the now to a different now, which means you're a different person. Because everything that changes in the now changes everything in the now. It's not the same reality from one moment to the next, literally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the experience of time. So the idea is that you literally are a different person when you change anything about yourself, and you're becoming a different person billions of times a second. So it's not about the idea of learning how to change, it's about the idea of realizing that you're constantly changing and constantly a different person in a different reality, in a different version of Earth, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, and you get to say what you are, what person you are, how you define yourself every single moment. So you get to choose. As I just said, your greatest power is the freedom to choose who you prefer to be. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks you should be. They're not living your life. They're not your reality. You are your own universe. So be who you prefer to be. Define yourself as you prefer to. Behave as you prefer to, knowing that it's just as real as anything else you've ever done, because that wasn't actually you. You have to understand that everything exists at the same time, which means every single moment is actually about a different person. So even though you might have this illusion of continuity, that younger person was you, It isn't you. It's a different person. You're a different person than that you. It's not the same you. It may look like you may be creating a continuity that makes it seem like there's a continuous stream between that younger you and this particular you, but there isn't. That's an illusion. That's a different person. It's not you. You've changed, and therefore you're a different person, literally. Yes?
Yes.
That's how it works. So be the person you know you are now, instead of recreating the idea that you are still a person you've never been. You've never been that person. Now that you are defining yourself in this way, that definition literally makes you a completely different person who has never been that other person. This is what we call the 13th step. This is the idea of the true understanding that every change is total change and that things are changing, as I said, billions of times per second. I'll use the analogy that people on your planet often use of what you call addiction. When you see people suddenly stop doing addicting behavior, some kind of miraculous shift where one day they are having that behavior and the next day they are not, it's not because they actually stopped doing it. It's because the person they've become never did it. They have no history of doing it, and that's why it's so easy for them to not have any urges about the idea that they used to do it, is because they never did. They're not the same person, literally, anymore, and never have been that person. The illusion of continuity is broken. That's how you allow yourself to know you're changing, truly changing, into different people every moment. Let go of the illusion of continuity that anchors you to a past you never had, because everything is created from the present, including the past.
So my past is even different now.
Yes.
Was okay.
That's the idea. Now, it's going to seem to be. Whatever you create yourself to be is going to come with whatever past you still believe is relevant to you. But as you change the relevant definition, you're going to create a past that makes sense for the person you are now, because that's how it works in space-time. If you change yourself differently enough, you have to create a past that makes it make sense in space-time as to how you became the person you are now, which means you had to have had a different past than you had before in order to be the person you are now. Because everything is created from the present. There's no such thing as the past. It's an illusion. It's just another parallel present reality that you can decide to experience or not. So break the continuity and realize that every single moment that you become a different person, you have a different past. It may seem like it's always been the past, but that's just what has to come with it in order for you to have a sense of continuity in space-time reality.
Okay.
Many of you don't even know how many pasts you've experienced. Even collectively, as we have often given examples, what you consider to be your history as a collective right now may not necessarily have been your history 5 minutes ago. But it will seem to have always been your history. Oh yes, everyone knows that in X BC this... You don't know that that's the way it was 5 minutes ago. It might have been completely different 5 minutes ago, but it's going to seem like it's always been that way when you create a new past.
Okay.
Is this helping?
Yeah, this is helping.
All right.
I just want to share my experience of the weekend because I think it's helpful, and there comes a question with it.
Yes.
The last days, just being in the room.
Yes.
I asked the question the first day, but just being in the room, I felt like my vibration was shifting on a level.
Yes, because you are picking up on the frequency that we give off through the channel's body, and you're willing to match the frequency that's a higher frequency representation of yourself.
And I also think because I allowed it this time
Yes.
too, because you taught us to see everything as a positive in the
Yes.
formula. Yeah.
And also remember what we have called the triple A formula. On your culture, you have the synchronous convenience of having something called AAA, which you often use to rescue you when your vehicle breaks down. So the idea is we're suggesting a different AAA formula when you feel that your vehicle, yourself, has broken down and you feel the need to be rescued. Allow yourself to remember this AAA formula. A, acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. B, appreciate what you have. And number 3, allow what needs to happen next to happen. Acknowledge, appreciate, allow. That's all you need to bring yourself back to center. Acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. Appreciate what you have, and allow what needs to happen next to happen.
Is this part of the excitement formula too, or?
It is a subset of it. It's a permission slip designed based on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in the excitement formula, what really helped me to like increase my vibration is the I feel like I always followed my excitement.
Well, not always.
Not always, but like recently I've been really going for it and
All right.
not doing the not having the insistence.
Yes.
But I feel like where I always when something happened that I didn't like so much, preferred.
Is it truly a recognition of neutral non-preference, or is it a fear reaction? You have to have the ability to discern that honestly within yourself too.
It might have been a fear reaction, but I cleared that out
All right.
by giving it the possibility that it's like giving it a positive meaning.
It doesn't mean that you say that what is negative is positive. It means you stay in a positive state so that you can recognize how to use what is negative in a positive way.
How do you stay in a positive state if you see something?
Did we not explain that before? What other choice are you giving yourself? Why would you leave the positive state? What reasons are you creating to leave it?
It's just a natural reaction of
It is not a natural reaction. It is a learned reaction.
So how do I relearn?
By following the formula and keep practicing it until it becomes not second nature, first nature.
So by following the formula, it will automatically...
Keep doing it, just like anything. If you want to learn to play an instrument, what do? You keep practicing. So just keep doing it. Every chance you get, remind yourself to go back into that state.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
all you have to do.
I have a question about the formula.
Yes.
And I make it as an example because I think it's easier. This morning, so my highest excitement today clearly was coming here.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly. But I realized there's a difference in excitements. So let's say my highest excitement is here, but yes, there's a time span from me waking up to me getting here.
So
why
can't that be exciting too?
That can. I'm just asking if, because when I wake up, in between those little moments, should I still ask?
Every moment can be as exciting as the next. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. Even the simple things, getting out of bed, getting dressed. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you so that you are allowing those moments to be what they can be. Don't diminish them. Don't devalue them.
No, of course, yeah. So on the way to my highest.
No. It's not on the way. Every moment is part of your excitement if you allow it to be and act as if it is and do it in the way that is most exciting. You're making a difference between those moments and other moments by saying, I'm on the way to my excitement. No, every moment.
Because on some points, it doesn't feel like I know what my next highest excitement is.
You don't have to know. It's very simple, very simple. You don't have to know the ultimate. Just take it a step at a time. If you want to, again, practice this, do it in exactly the way I just suggested. When you wake up in the most exciting way you can. What do you want around you when you wake up? Do you want flowers in your bedroom? Do you want a certain scent in your bedroom? Do you want a certain chime on your alarm if you use that? Do you want to wake up to music? Wake up in the most exciting way you can. If you want to stay in bed for a few minutes and recount your dreams, and that's more exciting, do it. When you finally decide that you wish to be excited about rising from your bed, do it in the most exciting way you can. Whether it's a soft, calm swinging of your legs over the side, planting your feet in those wonderful, cozy slippers, or jumping and leaping out of bed, fully naked, into the bedroom. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. And then every moment will feel fulfilling, and it's not that you will be ignoring them and invalidating them by saying that they're nothing more than a way on the way to your excitement. This is what we're talking about. Every moment.
So make every moment a way.
Use your imagination.
Is it good to ask the question every moment, or does it make you just confused?
If that excites you, but once you practice it and get used to doing your life that way, you won't have to keep asking the question. You will know what to do because you'll know yourself. Remember, it comes down to that ancient phrase, know thyself. So when you know who you are, you will start doing the things in the way that you would do them. That will always be the most exciting way you can do it, because why would you do those things any other way? If you are living your excitement, then do everything in your life in the most exciting way you can. Everything. Don't leave anything out. Why miss a moment? Why miss that precious, beautiful, exciting moment as I described of slipping your toes into those cozy slippers? Oh, that's ecstasy in that moment. Why miss out on that? Because you're in such a hurry to get somewhere more exciting. Don't rush ahead. What's your hurry? You are an infinite, eternal being. What's your hurry? Enjoy every moment.
Okay.
All right, does that help?
That helps.
All right. Then I would suggest that for the moment, you find the most enjoyable way to get back to your seats.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Actually, what you just pointed out is that there's almost like a process of going into a downward spiral. It's like each step, once you buy into a negative belief at one level, then it takes you down to yet another level.
Yes, it's like an elevator. You've pressed the down button instead of pressing the up button.
But in terms of something like grieving, that would be a little different in terms of not...
It's a little different, but not much. It's still utilizing a similar mechanism because, as I said, the only reason you really grieve is that you have a definition that you've lost something, that it's truly been separated from you, and that there's no connection remaining. If you change that definition, you would experience something quite different. So it may be slightly different as an expression, but it still utilizes the same mechanism. The definitions are creating a misalignment with what is true.
And so in the future, when we have stronger connection to those that have passed over, will we be able to just talk to them in our heads as if they're standing there, or will it be something where we do it through a device?
It can be any number of mechanisms. Ultimately, it can simply be you're talking to them because you can see and hear them, because you're matching a frequency that they exist on in their particular realm.
So then the only other barrier perhaps would be the idea that you cannot physically touch the person, or you don't...
Even that is not necessarily true. As we exist in our civilization, as what we are terming quasi-physical beings, means we have traits of both physical and non-physical reality. Spirits can touch us and we can touch them.
Wow.
It's a matter of realigning your frequency.
So you mean we could actually get to the point where, for example, the person who lost their daughter would actually be able to feel that they're in a one-on-one communication, talking and being able to hug? Or
yes, if you look at your literature about the idea of what you call ghosts, you will find that there are many references to beings that seem so solid, people on your planet don't even know they're looking at a spirit. So it depends on the reasons for that, and we're not going to go into that at the moment. But clearly in your literature and in your accounting of such meetings, you do have a listing of experiences where people couldn't even tell that they were speaking to a ghost.
And that would just change our whole process. Once we get to that point, grieving will be unnecessary, I suppose.
Yes, but of course, it's really backwards. Once you change to that point, grieving will be unnecessary.
I see. According to our scientists, the Earth's core is iron nickel sphere. So does that mean that Earthlings have an iron heart? And in your opinion, what is the strangest material you've discovered at the core of a planet in our physical universe? And what did it mean for the life forms there?
The idea, of course, is that you do have iron in your blood, and your blood passes through your heart. In that sense, you could say, yes, you have an iron heart, energetically speaking. The most interesting substance we have found at the core of a physical planet is neutronium. The idea of everything being packed so tightly that it becomes neutral without a positive or a negative charge. The life forms that are connected to that particular world are unlike anything that you might understand and exist on a level of quantum fluctuations.
Certainly is an interesting universe, isn't it?
Yes.
And you would know because you've seen a lot more of it than perhaps we have.
I've seen a little more than you have, but I have seen nothing but a fraction of what exists.
Wow. And is Earth just an amazingly unique planet in terms of all the animals and life that's here? I mean, how do you all view that?
Everything is unique.
Yes.
You are differently unique, yes, than any other world. There are worlds that are somewhat similar to yours. You are similar to them. But again, not identical. Unless you're looking at the idea of parallel realities in which another Earth may be so similar that you can't tell the difference. It might be only different literally by one subatomic particle. Still a different universe. So there can be those that look almost identical where you cannot tell the difference, and there are those that are so radically different you wouldn't even know that it's still considered to be Earth.
You've said on several occasions that everything is made out of love. If that's true, does that mean that even the greatest criminals and sadists are made out of love? And how can love produce such hatred, cruelty, and oppression? Please
Because
explain
love,
how
true love, is unconditional, remember? That is the essential vibration of existence. You simply translate that as unconditional love in your language. But the key word is unconditional. Therefore, it's simply a matter of everything being made out of that vibration, harmonizing with that vibration, but because you are experiencing yourself as an individuated consciousness in physical reality that can be built upon filters and belief systems, you don't necessarily experience it that way because you don't necessarily know how to align with it because you haven't been taught how to do so. So even the idea of someone you would consider to be a criminal may be acting, quote unquote, out of love in their true intention, but they may have no way of understanding how to actually express that in an aligned and harmonious way because they don't have the tools. They haven't been taught how to do that. So their actions, to the best of their ability, may be being done out of a distorted sense of love or self-love. But again, it's not necessarily a holistic expression, a unifying and harmonizing expression of the idea of the basic, fundamental, unconditional vibration of existence itself. Because you have the freedom to choose, because things are unconditional, how to express the idea of the love of which you're made, of the vibrational existence of which you are made.
and the idea of bringing heaven to earth. Can you share some more with us about how that relates to the heart and
Well, again,
the experience we're having here?
yes, when you clear out the negative vibrations, the definitions, in your belief systems that are not relevant for you as a being in your true sense, then the vibration, message, communication from the higher mind will go to the heart as it does and be reflected to a physical mind that is now clear and transparent and free of any distortions in its belief system. And by doing that, you radiate then to all parts of your body and outward through your electromagnetic aura that vibration of purity and alignment and clarity that comes more directly from the higher mind to the heart to now a physical mind that is a transmitter in a pure sense. Thus then that can, by example, allow others to sense that vibration, and if they so choose, start to match that vibration because now they're being given an opportunity to do so. And that can help alleviate the idea of any distortions by at least providing the option of a clear vibration to others in much the same way that the unconditional love of our civilization is offered to you, but you still have to be the ones to agree to harmonize and match that frequency. Thus, our vibration and our sharing is unconditional. It's up to you to match it. And we would not necessarily have been giving information to you for the last 38 of your years had not some of you at least decided to match it and be living examples of that frequency. That doesn't mean that you have to exactly be like us or do exactly as we do. It simply means that you were willing to let go of all those things that aren't truly you, that are your challenges, your themes of exploration in this particular life to get to know yourself from a new point of view, and have let go of the need now to do that because you are now more willing to be your true self just on its own merit. And thus then you have elevated the frequency of your entire world and given many people more of an opportunity, as you align with any source of unconditional love, to allow themselves to align with those sources as well, whatever they may be, whatever works for them, and increase the likelihood and the probability of more people choosing to navigate themselves through different parallel versions of Earth over and over to ones that are more and more reflective, like a mirror, of the vibrational choices you have made to be in harmony and in alignment with the unconditional love of all that is.
Thank you. If you don't eat chocolate or drink wine, how exactly do you celebrate Valentine's Day on Essassani? And do the hybrids go through adolescent crushes like people on Earth do?
We don't celebrate Valentine's Day on Essassani. That's a holiday on your planet. Our children do not go through teenage crushes. These are not relevant questions for my civilization. We are always in love. We are always harmonious. We are always balanced at this point in our evolution. And we do not have the idea of holidays in the same way you do.
Okay. And in your travels, what is the most number of hearts that you've ever encountered in a single being?
5.
And how does that play out in terms of the expression of the being, or what does that mean? I guess it's different for each civilization, but
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything you can share with us about the nature of a civilization where people have 5 hearts.
Yes, although the most common we have ever encountered is 3 hearts. This again is representative of the idea of the triad, the trinary function of all that is, the Trinity, so to speak, where the vibrations of the hearts bounce off and reinforce each other in a very particular geometric format. It's very stabilizing in that sense for these particular civilizations that we have encountered, where the beings have what you would consider to be 3 hearts. It doesn't mean that they're hearts in the same way that your heart is structured, but they function similarly. The 5 heart beings perform a very specific kind of function with regard to the heart connections being connected to different aspects of nature or spirit In other words, each heart serves a function of making a connection to a different aspect of their reality. They can actually switch their focus and their concentration from heart to heart to amplify and magnify their connection to different parts of nature and their particular experience of reality. It's quite unique in our experience.
Are there like negative oriented entities in fifth density?
The only level at which you could say that something might in some way be negatively oriented in fifth density is the lower astral realm, where you can have spirits that have unfinished business, may not even know that they're dead, may be harboring and holding on to old belief systems that don't let them to pass on to higher realms of spirit. So you can have that experience in the lower astral realm of non-physical reality, which is fifth density.
Okay, and how do non-physical and quasi-physical beings experience laughter? Do you all laugh? And
Yes, we do. The idea, again, is that it may be experienced as an overwhelming or larger infused sensation that is more expansive than just being contained within the physical parameters of a body. It's like suddenly being filled with light, would perhaps be the closest analogy we can make.
I think you mentioned if you actually started laughing when you're when Darryl's in the channeling state, that it would wake him up or make him come out of the state?
It would cause a disconnection because the laughter would be centering for us. So as we blend more, as the channel matches our frequency more, there can be some slight opportunities for you to experience us having a laugh. But in general, were we to go fully into that state, there might be a disconnection if the channel's vibration is not equal to the level on which we experience that state.
I see.
So we do, in some sense, allow there to be a slight suppression of that when we are doing this and having this connection, because we often laugh, and therefore you would be constantly having an interruption.
I guess you have to learn how to control that, huh, when you're
So
channeling.
it's automatic. Because again, it comes with our intention of delivering information in a certain way, and therefore it's automatically dampened to the degree necessary for us to continue the conversation.
And one person asked, why has Darryl's style of channeling Bashar's energy changed over time? It seems like there is less of an accent, less teeth clicking, less affect. Is this because something has changed about Earth's vibration over time and it's gotten easier to transmit to us here? And why did it originally come through the way that it did?
Yes, it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of getting used to a frequency. It's a matter of becoming his version of us, raising his vibration to become more like us, and therefore there's less difference between us and him. Therefore, you would experience less difference. In the beginning, of course, he wasn't used to our energy at all, and therefore it took some time for him to allow his vibration to rise to the point where you start to lose the differences between us, and we can rely more on the way he exists in his reality to deliver the information in a way that is not filtered, because he is more willing to be open and letting the information come through. And this is part and parcel of the practice of him becoming a teacher himself on his planet, because he is now familiar enough with our principles to be able to do so, knowing that he is delivering relatively accurate information. Because the idea of all channeling is not necessarily for the differences to continue, but for the similarities to become more apparent in your reality, to know that you are just as connected to everything just like we are, and can exhibit that for yourselves. Therefore, you will experience less of a difference. There will be a few things that may remain, so that you understand that there will be a perceived difference on a minor level. But nevertheless, the idea is for fluidity and flow to take over, so that the information can come through, whether from us or from him, to the same degree.
Wonderful.
And the idea of the teeth clicking and other things like that is simply that from time to time, there may be something that we are doing for which there is no translation, and so his body must react to something, and therefore it will be in a non-verbal, non-linguistic fashion that lets you know that something is going on our side that you may not be aware of, that you may not be seeing fully, but the clicking and other affectations may let you know that something is going on that's not being translated fully.
And that's true sometimes when he moves his hands,
Yes.
he's actually mimicking something you're doing on the ship, right?
Yes. If I were now to simply place my hand on a panel, he could ignore it or he could allow himself to go with it, such as this. It just depends on how connected he may be at any given moment in a certain way, whether it's relevant for that expression to be shown, because there are many things we are transmitting to many of you that don't come through verbally. It's also part of the communication that comes through to your unconscious and subconscious self, and representative of a different form and different level of information being downloaded into you to the degree that you are willing to open up to it. So sometimes paying attention to the things that are happening non-verbally can actually be another level of the communication.
Yes, that's true. That's why you said it.
Yeah.
This person's saying they've been longing for contact and they look up at the sky day and night and they wonder if their star family can sense that they want contact. Why isn't it happening? And what do I have to do to connect in with that reality sooner than the rest of humanity?
Stop longing for it and follow the formula. Be where you are. Where you are on earth is the most important place for you to be. Yes, of course, they're aware of it, but they're also aware of the timing that is necessary that benefits everyone. You can't necessarily run ahead of everyone. That doesn't really serve the purpose you agreed to in having this physical reality. So we understand that the longing is the product of more awareness of the fact that you have connections to many other beings among the stars, but you can't use it as a negative, as if, again, you're missing something. You have to allow yourself to make the connection, be aware of the connection, feel the energy, but bring that energy down to earth and apply it in your life in the most positive, exciting, passionate way. That's what accelerates the probability of having the physical connection sooner than later. But again, drop the insistence and there will be no resistance. Just go with the flow, follow your passion, follow the formula, and allow yourself to experience this as a connection of energy, not a longing, which implies the idea that you're missing something. That something else would be better than where you are now, which it isn't. Where you are now is the most important thing that could be happening.
And haven't you said also that when you're following your passion, when you raise your frequency through letting go of negative beliefs and things like that, ET contact, extra dimensional contact, all those things are a side effect in a sense as your frequency goes up. It's automatic in that regard, right?
It is. But again, watch your belief systems and your definitions. Because sometimes when people hear that, they get excited about doing that only for the purpose of accelerating it, which again brings them back to the idea that they're not living in the moment.
Tricky.
If you say so.
As we move into the window of open contact, will there be a significant increase in new channelers and beings working through them?
Yes.
It's almost like a resurgence of more channeling.
Yes, but in different ways. Again, there are many forms of channeling. So, but the general answer is yes.
Okay. And is there an alien civilization whose political system is a dictatorship?
Yes, of course. Those things exist, and we have discussed some that existed in what you call the past in the ancient Orion systems, which were extremely oppressive and dictatorial. And there are some that still exist out among the stars. It's not like they can basically reach you or affect you in any given way. But yes, they do exist here and there.
Let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. We thank you, first of all, once again, for the co-creation of this interaction. Anytime you create between your civilization and our civilization such an interaction, it forms a bridge, it forms a link, it forms a tunnel, it forms a new reality, a third reality, an overlapping reality in which we can, more and more every day, interact with each other in many more ways. So we thank you for the gift of allowing us to experience each and every one of you in this way. We would like to now continue the transmission we began last night of your time of counting, that then we entitled Building a Bridge to 2013, as you know time to exist. And now we will continue this transmission with the idea of crossing the bridge to 2013. We remind you briefly of the ideas we spoke of last night of your time, that the whole concept of building this bridge and going, in a sense, through, beyond, past the idea of 2012, the idea of your December 21st winter solstice date that so many people on your planet are focused on as the threshold date, as the tipping of the scales date, going from one idea to another idea, changing your energy, shifting your reality. Well, of course, this has been going on for a little while and will continue a little while beyond that threshold. It's not all going to happen in the blink of an eye necessarily, because you have chosen to experience physical reality as a realm of time and space. Nevertheless, much of the idea of time and space, as we discussed last night of your time, can become more flexible, more accelerated, more malleable, so that you can find many things happening in a shortened amount of time, many different places, in a sense, being experienced in rapid succession, other than the way you used to experience these ideas of getting from place to place. You can now find yourself blinking, in a sense, jumping, in a sense, from place to place a little bit more rapidly as you dissolve and deconstruct the whole idea of physical reality, since physical reality is only your projection of consciousness anyway. But in discussing the idea of going beyond, of spanning over your December 21st, 2012 date, we allow you to focus your sights on the realms beyond, on 2013, on the years beyond that date, so that you can allow yourself to make that leap, not focus so much on every little step, but know that as you allow yourself to simply look past that date, all the details that need to be there will automatically fall into place. You don't have to necessarily watch each and every one. You don't have to necessarily guide each and every one into position, because life already works. The structure already exists. The machine already is on automatic. And all you need to do is allow it to work in the way it was designed to work, to take advantage of the effects that it can have in your physical reality. So allowing yourself the broader perspective, not of the physical mind that is devoted to the focus of minutia, but the higher mind that is devoted to the broader perspective, the farther seeing mind that sees the path laid out where the physical mind cannot, that knows how to get you where you need to go, where the physical mind cannot, is the way to align your energy with the ability to move beyond all of those little details and allow them to fall into place automatically, using the machine as it was intended, so to speak. Using the structure of existence as it was designed, so to speak. The idea, therefore, in crossing this bridge is once again to first and foremost let it really sink in that everything is simultaneous. Everything exists here and now. You're not really going anywhere. Everything is coming through you. It's just a shift in perspective. Standing on that metaphorical bridge, and it doesn't even have to be a bridge. If your imagination says that your bridge would rather be a tunnel, that is all well and good, and follow it, because your imagination is key to your specific frequency and will work best for you in giving you the symbols and metaphors, and even some meta-fives, that will work best for you. Allow yourself to alter it as you see fit, because after all, this bridge we are talking about is only a permission slip to allow you to give yourself permission to be more of who you are, to expand your consciousness and expand your awareness in whatever way truly is most aligned with your true core frequency as you were created to be. So in understanding that everything exists here and now, it does not really matter exactly how the metaphor is formed. It can be a bridge, it can be a tunnel, it can be one of your airplanes taking you from one point to another. It can be anything you wish, a road, a path, a waterfall, anything you wish, as long as it embodies the concept that you are, in a sense, going over, leaping over, spanning over all of the little details that many people on your planet are now focused on, and allowing yourself, in spanning over, to let those things fall into place automatically, effortlessly, joyfully, creatively, lovingly, without having to get caught up in the idea that it is an effort and a struggle to allow things to change. It is really just an allowance. And allowing them to change in a way that is aligned with your frequency is the greatest joy of all. Because the whole idea of your choosing to experience physical reality is to really experience the fullness of your being, discovering who and what you really are. Remember, you cannot discover if you don't first forget, and that's why you chose to forget. The idea of coming into physical reality comes with the idea of certain limitations that actually serve you to play a certain game so that you can rediscover pieces of yourself, ideas of yourself, perspectives of yourself from a wholly different point of view. And that discovery, that self-discovery, allows you to also understand more and more about creation itself in the bigger picture. The idea thus is that as you are willing to truly allow yourself to be more of who you are actually putting an energy into reality that allows other people more opportunity to also discover more of who they are. Because once that energy enters your world in a much more highly accelerated way, you allow that vibration, in a sense, to radiate and leak from you, if you wish, and it makes it easier for you, being this broadcast antenna, for others willing to be a more receptive receiver, a more sensitive receiver, to pick up on that frequency, to feel it in the atmosphere, to feel it in the environment, to know that that vibration calls them to themselves, and thus then allows them to know with greater certainty that they do not need to be afraid to explore all of those aspects of their being, that the only thing they will ever discover in the unknown is more and more and more of themselves. So all of this is part and parcel of the idea of crossing this bridge. And as we said, first and foremost, to know that you're not really going anywhere, because everything in creation exists right here, right now. And the crossing of the bridge is really the being of the bridge. The being fully as you possibly can in the moment, in the now, living your life to the fullest, so that in a sense the bridge can move through you. It can span through you. That you can shift your consciousness from parallel world to parallel world, parallel version of Earth to parallel version of Earth, as you do already billions of times per second, but that you can now know you can do it. You can now feel it more. You can have a visceral, tangible experience of the idea that you're always shifting, always creating the idea of space and time as your playground, as your chessboard, as your game board, and that the rules are slightly loosening up to allow you more moves, more opportunity to see farther ahead, many moves ahead, more opportunity thus then to understand that there is great flexibility in the game of physical reality as long as you remain aligned with your true vibration. Does this make sense to you? Yes. All right. The idea thus then, first and foremost, of really crossing that bridge is to allow yourself every single day, every single opportunity to really take a moment to really feel out all those things that are true for you, truly exciting. And as you do this, understand that this is not an issue of just you alone. Even though you are the only thing that exists in your unique universe, and this is true of every one of you, the idea is that there are also other beings. And so the idea of acting in perfect harmony in what is most exciting for you as an individual also takes into account the respect and what works best for all concerned. For you are all pieces in a puzzle picture, and all of you, by being your true self, support the whole. So the idea is that when you allow yourself to play with space and time in certain ways, then whatever the consequences of your choices are, that shall be what you know will serve the whole and you the best. Because you need to look at this more holistically. It's not just about the idea when you follow your excitement, when you follow your bliss, when you act on your highest joy. It's not just about the idea of what's exciting for you. It's about the idea of what's exciting for all, because the one is the all and the all are the one. And so in focusing on the idea of your excitement, and in acting on your excitement in the most integrated way, with the idea in mind of everyone else as a holistic picture, taking the higher mind point of view, you will then know that whatever the consequences are, whatever the circumstances are that arise from whatever choices you have made in playing your new space-time game will be exactly what actually serves both the whole and the individual best. It is a balancing act. It is a harmonizing act. It is an allowing act. It is a loving act. It is an expression of unconditional love both for yourself and for all that is and every single perspective and component of creation. Does this make sense? All right. Now then, in again the idea of crossing this bridge, you will start to feel the concept of more acceleration. Again, this does not mean that you're actually literally accelerating, because you're already going as fast as you possibly can go. You as a being already move in a sense at infinite speed. Everything moves through you in that way. But you regulate it. You allow yourself the perception of certain, shall we say, frames of existence that determines the idea that you call acceleration or slowing down or speeding up. The idea, therefore, is that not you're really going to accelerate, but that you're going to become more aware of the idea of how fast you're already going, how fast the acceleration already exists. More tangibly aware of that infinite speed. And when we say infinite speed, of course, this is a euphemism. We're simply using your language to describe an effect. All these things are just symbols. All these translations are just ideas, perspectives, and reflections of the higher mind mirror, but it is a convenient way to look at these ideas. But you, again, can use your imagination, which is the conduit of communication to your higher mind, to alter these ideas in any way, shape, or form that works best for you. So when we talk about the idea of feeling an acceleration, what we're actually saying is you're becoming more aware of the acceleration that you already exist at, of the rate, the frame rate you're already shifting at. And thus then you give yourself an opportunity to have more conscious awareness, more conscious intention to truly allow yourself to choose the frames, and only the frames, more and more every day, that are most representative, the parallel realities of Earth, more and more every day, that are most representative of your true core vibration. And thus then that can make you, by comparison to what you've been doing, feel like you're accelerating. So the experience of the acceleration you're all talking about now is real. But acceleration itself doesn't exist. It is just an awareness, more awareness of your relationship to the infinite that you're actually picking up on, and that's what you experience. That's what you translate in your reality as the concept, as the experience you call acceleration. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the idea thus then is that all of this in the crossing of the bridge is all about becoming more aware of what is. It's not really about learning to do anything new. You're already doing everything you need to do, mechanically speaking. You already trust 100%. You're already shifting all the time. You don't have to learn to trust. You don't have to learn to shift. You just have to choose what you're trusting in, positive or negative. You just have to know you're already shifting so you can be more consciously aware of what it is you can choose to shift to. But you don't actually have to learn any of the fundamentals. You just need to become more awake and aware of what the fundamentals are that are already in existence so that you can use them as the toolkit that they are for you, so that you can really learn how to use the structure of existence, so that you can begin to truly see it clearly. And in seeing it clearly, allow everything that doesn't fit that structure to fall away as just ideas, just reflections, just permission slips that are not in and of themselves real until you make them real with your definitions and your beliefs. But even when you make them real, so to speak, they don't become any more solid than you believe them to be, because it is only your belief that creates the idea, in a sense, that you call the experience of solidity. Let me tell you actually what solidity, the sensation you call solidity, actually is. You know, and your scientists know on your planet, that nothing is really solid. Even what you call solid matter is only made up in a sense of energy, and it is mostly empty space. The idea, therefore, is that even though there are scientific explanations why something feels solid, being the idea of electrons and valence and all of those ideas, those are still only symbols. The true reason why anything in your physical reality, which doesn't really exist, feels solid, why you have the experience of solidity, is what you're actually feeling literally is your indestructible nature. You cannot be destroyed. That's what solidity is. You have actually used your indestructible nature and imparted that idea, that perspective of your indestructibility as a being, as a consciousness, into your experience of physical materiality to render the idea, the experience of physical reality seemingly solid. But every time you do this, every time you touch something that feels solid, you are actually literally aware, becoming aware, interacting with your indestructible core, your indestructible nature. That is actually you. It's your essence. You are infinite, you are eternal, you exist, so you always will. That which exists cannot become that which does not. The simple answer to understand why that is so is because by definition, non-existence doesn't exist. By definition. That's its quality. Non-existence doesn't exist. That's its quality. Just as existence exists. That's the only quality it has. So if you exist right now, you can never become non-existent. You will change your form, change your expression, change your experience, but you will never cease to exist because you are indestructible. All that is all that is. And that's it. So, get used to the fact that you always exist and relax into the idea of your indestructibility so that you're not in such a hurry, so that you can relax. Because if you know you're eternal, if you know you're infinite, if you know you'll always exist, then anything that needs doing will be done in some way, shape, or form, somehow, somewhere, somewhen. It doesn't all have to be done right now. Of course, even when you do it, it will all be being done right now. Because there is only now. There is only one moment in creation. Everything you think of as a different moment is actually the same moment from a different point of view. But there is only one moment, there is only one place. There is only here, there is only now. The past and future are illusions, and what you call the ideas of past and future are simply simultaneously coexisting parallel realities that all exist right now along with this one. You can make connections to them, and you do so in order to draw upon the information and experience of those realities, even as those lives draw upon your experience to aid and assist and guide them in whatever themes they chose to explore. But it all exists right now. The structure exists in total, completely. What is new, what is always changing, is your relationship to and your perspective of the structure. That's how creation expands. It's the relationship, it's the perspective, it's the point of view that is always in flux. The structure never changes. It is the skeleton upon which you experience all realities, all experiences in any dimension whatsoever. Physical, non-physical, doesn't matter. The structure is the same throughout creation because there is only one moment of creation. And everyone shares that moment in a different way, from a different point of view. That awareness, more of that awareness, will begin to sink into each and every one of you that is truly willing and truly excited about really being, really acting on, really expressing the true core vibration of your natural frequency. So that, again, in crossing this bridge, you will find yourselves more and more every day in every way feeling the acceleration, but you will know, even as you feel it, that that is an experience happening within your consciousness, that you're not really going anywhere because there is nowhere to go to. But you are creating, rippling, creating all those frequencies, all those ideas within your consciousness and experiencing, projecting these ideas as your physical game. And now you are changing some of the rules of those games. You won't change them all, because as long as you choose to be physical, you have to have some parameters, and remember that not all limitations are negative. So you will not give up all the limitations because they guide you. They form a corridor. They form that bridge. They form that tunnel. They form that hallway. They form that path. And within that path, however, you're going to become much, much freer, much more able to truly see as the higher mind sees, to form that true balanced relationship with the higher mind. Not that you will necessarily know how something is going to happen any more than you do right now, because only the higher mind knows that, but you will form a relationship in such a way that your physical mind will begin to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the higher mind always has its best interest at heart, and the physical mind does not have to control everything to make sure that everything is happening exactly the way you want it to. Because you already know that everything is happening exactly the way you need it to serve you and everyone best. Does that make sense? All right. In return, this time, thus then, for allowing us to experience the idea of the gift that you are, we ask now how we may serve you with the exchange of questions and answers.
Is there a way to unite the unconscious and the subconscious minds with the conscious mind so that we can be consciously aware of all three? And would there be an advantage to our physical experience that way?
As long as you are physical, you will not completely dissolve all three, but you can allow them to work more efficiently together and mirror the physical version of a higher mind. But while you are physical, all three are somewhat necessary so that you can experience timing and processing of whatever information your conscious mind truly needs at any given moment. So there will always be some slight holdback, some slight process of funneling the information that's necessary at any given moment through. But yes, you can allow, by accelerating yourself, by raising your frequency, the barriers to become less solid so that they can work together, all three divisions can work together much more efficiently, much more fluidly.
Okay. And this person says, I'm interested in why we are specifically among all the other options for who or what we could be as a unique expression. So I guess why we are who we are. How is it possible for us to have preferences if we all come from unconditional love?
Because it is unconditional, by the very definition of the word, you can be whatever you choose to be. Therefore, you choose whatever theme of exploration at any given moment your consciousness believes will allow it to experience what it needs for its own growth, whatever it is interested in, exploring in that sense. So you have the freedom to choose whatever you wish.
Do we have the option of choosing to come to Earth to do negative things?
You do have that option, but again, remember that when you say negative, a lot of times you will choose negative mechanisms to do positive things. For example, the idea that you are limiting your consciousness in order to have a physical experience is a positive utilization of a negative mechanism because you are imposing a limitation for various positive reasons, for experiential reasons, on your broader consciousness. So yes, in the way that you meant the question, it is possible that you may see that someone doing something that would be considered to be negative could inspire others to act positively and perhaps change things in a more positive direction by having something negative to push against.
Is there an optimal way to meditate? And is there like a best length? And is 10 minutes just as effective as 1 hour? Or?
Not necessarily. It takes about 15 minutes for the neurological pathways of your brain to rewire themselves effectively in a lasting way. So the idea of whatever form of meditation you are attracted to would be the best thing for you, the best permission slip. And we would say optimally, allow yourself at least 15 minutes. You can go for longer, you can go for an hour. Again, it depends upon how you decide to adjust it that works best for you. But At the very minimum, 15 minutes is usually required for most physical individuals to allow for the appropriate amount of rewiring of the brain to be effective in terms of making the changes that you typically seek to make.
Okay, thank you. Following up from the guilt and responsibility transmission, is guilt always an indication that there is an energy alignment necessary, or can that mechanism get out of whack a bit? Is it possible for us to have a habit of unnecessarily being guilty when we feel guilty about things that we don't even need to really be adjusted about? And
Yes.
if so, how can we know the difference and clean up the confusion and the energy alignment mechanism can work as intended?
The sensation you call guilt, that you recognize as guilt, is always an indication that there is a misalignment within you or a negative belief at work. Otherwise, it's just awareness and recognition of something. It doesn't necessarily have an experience of guilt attached to it if you're just aware of something from a neutral position. The idea of being guilty when you know you have no need to be guilty in that sense is one of the results of actually giving in to the negative definition, the negative belief system, because again, it keeps attempting to perpetuate itself and thus continues to perpetuate the guilty feeling even when you intellectually know there's no reason for you to experience guilt. So that is simply a residual side effect of, or an echo, if you will, of having given in to the idea of the negative and fear-based belief that creates the initial guilt feeling to begin with. The idea, again, is to recognize that it comes from a fear-based belief, to explore and investigate yourself with honesty about what that belief could be, and truly get to the core understanding of what the fear-based belief is telling you as a story, to allow yourself to really see the details in that story and recognize that they are generally nonsensical when you get to the heart of the matter. That is how you can dissolve any reason to keep perpetuating the idea of guilt and allow yourself to let that go.
So, as an example, survivor guilt, is there a way to transmute that? Is that happening at such a deep level? And so it seems a little different than normal.
It is not. It is not different because it still is the result of harboring a negative belief that you could have done something, and in some senses it robs other individuals who may have passed on of their choices. So to be guilty about the fact that you are still alive while someone else may have died is, again, nonsensical because you are not allowing yourself or allowing them to have made their choices from a higher level. You're not trusting the timing of what's going on. Now, this doesn't mean that the idea of what causes the death cannot be mitigated, cannot be changed in the future for other people. But the idea of whatever it is that does happen, even if it results in someone else's death, must simply be recognized as the result of belief systems or themes or choices that they have made, even unconsciously. And to be guilty about being someone who remains alive, in some sense, dishonors the choices that they made instead of utilizing those to make differences in your own life and in your own understanding about your connection to those who have passed on into spirit. So survivor guilt, again, is simply a residual recognition of the fact that you've been holding on to fear-based beliefs and negative beliefs about your own worthiness to be alive, about the choices you are making. And it can be used in a positive way to correct anything that might have been a misunderstanding, a misinterpretation, or a miscalculation in your own life. But the idea of holding on to the guilt does not allow you to move forward, nor does it allow you to develop a recognizable relationship with those who have passed on in a way that can serve you and in a way that honors them for their choices.
You talk sometimes about how there are consequences to our choices and actions. How
Yes.
can we hear the word consequences so that we don't perceive it in a negative or punitive way? Sometimes I fear consequences catching up with me from past mistakes, even though I've already healed, learned from them, and brought myself back into alignment. How can I release that fear and work with this teaching in a more positive way?
There's an oxymoron in the question you have asked, because if you have actually healed yourself and brought yourself back into alignment, there would not be the definition of consequences in a punitive manner. So when you say that you are still experiencing a punitive definition of a simple neutral consequence of an action taken, then you're not in alignment. You have not brought yourself back into alignment. There is still a fear-based belief at the heart of your experience. But look at it this way. A consequence is simply the neutral result of an action taken. Let us say, for example, you simply drop a ceramic cup. The consequence of dropping it may be that it actually shatters on the floor. Is the shattering on the floor a punishment? No. It is just the neutral consequences of having dropped the cup in a gravitational field. The fact that you would say, oh, I am being punished now because the cup shattered, is simply the result of a nonsensical negative belief system. So by recognizing the nonsense in the idea of defining something that is simply the neutral result of an action taken, but heaping upon it the idea of self-judgment, then you can more easily separate the concept of punitive definitions from a neutral consequence.
Can you tell us the best way to follow the higher mind? How can we trust and understand its messages? And is it possible to follow the messages of the higher mind without first working with the shadows of the subconscious mind?
Again, this is a slight misunderstanding of the formula that we have shared with all of you. Following your passion is what allows you to determine what to let go of so that you can more readily follow the higher mind's guidance, which comes to you through passion. Remember, the toolkit that is contained when you act on your passion contains the reflective mirror that brings to your attention the idea of any belief within you that is out of alignment with your true vibration. So by acting on your passion and allowing the ideas to come up that may be out of alignment and working with it to let it go, you actually give yourself more ability to have more discernment and deal with these ideas of negative belief systems more easily in the future. So it is the very act of following your passion that brings these things to your attention, because bringing these things to your attention is part of your passion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Does listening to subliminal messages or a recording of affirmations while you sleep in order to tap into your subconscious mind have any benefit to us in creating the experiences we prefer? Can it expedite us raising our vibration to match the experiences we prefer to have, as having good health or abundance or money? Or is it just another permission slip that will work for some and not for others? Does the subconscious mind need a permission slip?
Yes, it is a permission slip, because everything in physical reality is a permission slip. Will it work for some and not for others? Yes. Is it effective for some? Yes, because it is a permission slip that they've gravitated to, been attracted to, and it is the attraction that usually indicates it will work for the person who is attracted to use that particular permission slip. So in that sense, it is a simple answer of knowing that it is something you are attracted to, that at least will temporarily work for you while you are attracted to it, and can be effective for those that align with it in terms of their belief system. But it's up to you to recognize also that it may change for you. So go with the flow. Whatever it is you're attracted to as a permission slip, by all means use it for the length of time you are attracted to it. When you're no longer attracted to use it, you'll find that something else will work for you. That's part of your evolutionary growth.
Can you mention some of the ways that our higher mind communicates with us?
It communicates primarily through, again, the sensation of objects or situations and circumstances that contain more excitement and passion or attractiveness or curiosity than any other. And it amplifies these things and delivers them quite often through the auspices of the fact that everything is connected, meaning synchronicity.
Right. So synchronistic symbols would also be communications from the higher mind.
Yes.
And when we have a negative belief, does that mean that we should ask ourselves why we have it and try to eliminate that belief by waiting for an answer that doesn't make any sense to us? Or is there other?
Well, you're not waiting. It's an active process of self-investigation to allow yourself to render the belief nonsensical. It doesn't just happen on its own, because if you don't do anything about it, if you don't investigate it, if you don't look deeply within yourself with honesty and curiosity and a willingness to change, then the negative belief will simply keep perpetuating itself. So it's not about waiting for it to make no sense. It's about actively seeking ways and understanding ways in which it simply no longer makes sense to you. One way is to look around in your reality, on your planet, and see if there's someone doing something similar in their passion as to what you would find also passionate about, exciting about, doing, and recognize what it is that's different between you that allows them to do it, but not you. It is in that difference you will find the difference in your definitions, and then perhaps it will stand out more clearly why the definition for you is nonsensical, because if they can do it, why can't you?
So are the beliefs in the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind, these negative beliefs?
They're in the conscious mind, sometimes in the subconscious mind or unconscious mind, but they actually originate within the conscious mind, because the idea of those negative beliefs is not natural to your greater being. It's things that are learned and ingrained within you in the conscious world, in the conscious reality. Again, either by your circumstances and situations, your parents, your friends, your schooling, your society. These are all introduced into the conscious mind. Aspects of these then beliefs, negative beliefs, filter into your subconscious and unconscious mind when you are given perhaps contradictory information that you don't know how to process, don't know how to handle. So you store them in the subconscious and unconscious mind to be released later when you might gain enough information and knowledge and experience to be able to understand them at that point, bring them back into the conscious mind to determine for yourself at that point what it is that's nonsensical and irrelevant for you and what it is you determine you will keep believing in. So again, the subconscious and unconscious mind are used as different types of reservoirs to hold on to things you can't immediately process, but all of these negative beliefs are, in a sense, received by the conscious mind. Now, the only exception to this, and it's not really an exception, but just an augmentation, would be that if you have decided as a spirit to come into the reality with a certain theme you will explore, then you might allow the conscious mind to be, shall we say, more open to receiving some of these negative and fear-based beliefs that you will then use in your process to overcome and, shall we say, transform so that you can fulfill the theme that you chose to explore. But the fear-based beliefs are still received by the conscious mind, even though you make, shall we say, set up a likelihood of accepting them from a higher level to begin with, as a representation of a theme that you will choose to explore.
Can you comment on the idea of compartmentalization and how that can shield one from the consequences of negative beliefs?
Compartmentalization, because you operate in a physical reality that has time and space and can have time lags and so on and so forth, can be used as a certain vibrational pattern to, in a sense, act as a filtering system so that you can achieve certain things on one level while holding off on certain kinds of consequences on another level. In other words, you're storing everything for later dissemination, for later analyzation, for later observation. And this is why, when you pass into spirit, you cannot avoid the idea of life review, where you experience the consequences of every action that you took. Because now, in that state of being, non-physically, you have dissolved all of the barriers. There is no more conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. It's all right there in one awareness, and thus at that point, if not at any point earlier, you will experience every single idea, every single consequence, every single action, every single emotion, everything you may have put into the reservoir for later analysis will come flooding in during the life review if you do not deal with them in the physical reality at some point.
Can you say a little more about how you actually experience life review? I think one questioner was concerned about going through it, that it seems fearful or
You will not experience it in a fearful way. You will understand through a form of spiritual empathy what it is that any other person that may have been affected by a choice you made would have felt, would have experienced. But I know this sounds like a little bit of a contradiction or an oxymoron, but you experience all these things from a neutral position. You experience them fully as if it's happening to you, but since there is absolutely no judgment on it from the spiritual perspective, you are not experiencing any of the things you would heap upon yourself in physical reality, such as judgment for having done it. And therefore, while you can experience it in its fullest form, you do not actually experience the judgment that would amplify it in a negative way. Therefore, there is nothing to fear. It is simply absorbed as information and knowledge and experience, and used in a positive way to determine what you will do next and how you will grow from those things, how you will learn from those things. I know this may not be absolutely clear to you, since most of you are absolutely not used to experiencing any lack of judgment at all on the things you do, on the negative ideas, on the negative fear-based beliefs. But by eliminating the idea of self-judgment, you simply can experience a full emotional experience of what someone else may have experienced in physical reality, but without the judgment, it is not experienced in any way, shape, or form that is fear-inducing.
So back to the idea of compartmentalization, an individual that's capable of compartmentalizing and then doing harm to thousands of people through negative acts and
Yes.
worldwide consequences for
Yes.
their behavior.
Yes.
When they go this on this planet, you can experience those kinds of things, and yet when you go through life review, the idea of the karma or the
It's not karma. It's not karma.
none of that is going to happen, right?
You will experience the consequence of everything you did, and you will experience it from the points of view of every single person that was engaged or involved or affected in some way, shape, or form. You will experience it all as if it's happening to you, each and every individual, and not even immediately, but even those that have repercussions and ripples that extend sometimes for days, months, weeks, years, and centuries. You'll experience every single consequence and ripple effect that came as a result of the choices that you made. So it's not that you escape it, but you don't experience it as a punishment. You experience it as an experience.